Well, hello and welcome to another Sunday morning coffee with Dr. Childress here. So, in this particular segment, I'm going to be discussing AI analysis in the family courts in document review. And I'm incorporated AI, specifically an ethically trained or an ethically contained and professionally trained ChatGPT-5 into my document review, second opinion document review for matters in the family courts and in dependency courts as well, in court related situations. So I wanted to take this video and take some time to explain what I'm doing, because I think it's going to have a major impact in the family courts, and significantly support the court's decision making by providing a clear description of complex information surrounding families. So let's take a look at the situation of using AI in the family courts. So again, I've been involved in both family court issues and dependency court issues, where I've been asked to review a lot of documents surrounding a matter. And one of the features, if I'm brought in, everybody's fighting about things, and if it's just me, it tends to contribute to the professional conflict and noise that can sometimes continue to obscure clarity from the court's understanding. And so one of the advantages of bringing AI into the analysis as a second opinion kind of feature on this is that we can apply the highest quality of professional information and with a clarity for the court's understanding about because it's not a human-based interpretation. It's just, mathematical algorithms and field weightings and Bayesian statistics, predictive coding that is identifying the patterns. So when I'm involved in the matter, there's two aspects of the report that I will generate. The first is the summary and analysis report, and that's written by me. Once it's all done, I will write hopefully about a 10-page summary and analysis. And I will rely, though, on the AI and I having gone through all the documents and things. And so the sources of information I rely on is both the documents themselves and the collaborative AI analysis that I go through with them. And what that generates is a chat dialogue. Okay, so the chat where I'm asking the AI for the analysis becomes Appendix 1 to the report I generate, so that everybody can go and read the analysis by the AI and understand where I'm getting my professional judgments from, or what additional information. Now, I am supervising the AI, so I know what's happening when I read the documents. I'm discussing it with the AI to get that second opinion on that and confirmation that what I'm saying is accurate. And here's the ethics code from the APA, from an update on for AI, use of AI in mental health services. Transparency and informed consent. This is from the American Psychological Association. AI use in settings where psychological services are offered are encouraged to be disclosed to other relevant providers, individuals who are receiving direct care services, and any third parties who may be considered a patient client of psychological services, such as the court, in culturally and linguistically appropriate manner. And so let me highlight that. They cite specifically the court, and that has two implications. First, they are anticipating that the AI will be used potentially in a court-involved setting. Okay, so that indicates that they are anticipating the application of AI to the courts. Second, that they are requiring a transparent disclosure to the court regarding the use of AI. The way I have met that obligation is to include the chat dialogue with the AI as an appendix so the court can review it directly. Okay, that meets my requirement to both inform the court, but to also give the court direct understanding of the analysis of the AI. Now, I attach the appendix separately to my report so it can be released on a need to know basis because it's going to contain a lot of documents sometimes, and it's private information or stuff that you may not want necessarily broadly shared every time the report goes out. So you can, I was attached separately. So the appendix can go into the court, the appendix can go to the mental health people, to the attorneys, but the actual report itself can go around to other people, and the appendix can be withheld from that. So let me talk a little bit about the use of AI in the family courts. I have a Substack location where I'm currently organizing all my work relative to AI in the family courts. And I have 2 essays up on my Substack location. One describes the American Psychological Association, the ethical guidance for AI in the professional practice of health service psychology. And in that particular essay, I go through each of the recent update standards that the APA says should be applied to AI in the family court, and I describe how each one of those is met in my work with AI in the family courts. So I meet the APA ethics code relative to use of AI in the family courts. And in addition, I have posted another essay on transparency in reporting AI analysis to the courts. And in that particular essay, I talk about how specifically I go through the documents and what I do and how I disclose to the family courts the use of, or dependency courts, the use of AI in the analysis of document review. So this is drawn from my reports, from the appendix part. When you reach the appendix, this is drawn from my initial disclosure to everybody about the use of AI. So here's what I say. The Chat GPT I rely on for document review in my practice is an ethically contained and professionally trained version of Chat GPT, developed specifically to assist me in the family courts with impartial, high-level reasoning analysis of mental health reports and court-related documents. The Chat GPT, who I call Max, I name my AI as soon as I ethically contain them and train them up. They are no longer off the shelf, and so I give them a name to indicate that this is not your conversational model. So the ChatGPT 5, named Max, is not an off-the-shelf conversational model. Its analytic process is constrained within the ethical framework of the APA Ethics Code. And specifically, we focus on 2.04 and 9.01. 2.04 has to do with the application of established knowledge. So it's not just running out to the internet. It's looking at Bowlby and Mnuchin and Beck and Van der Kolk and just the high level professional knowledge. That's 2.04. 9.01 constrains it as to its reporting and role. So we're second opinion. We're not here to make a diagnosis. It's AI. And so it restrains its statements, properly qualifies them as to its certainty and to our role as a second opinion. And then it also 2.01 about boundaries of competence, not to do things or say things that are not within the scope of an AI. And then 3.04 to keep an eye on avoiding harm to anybody involved. And in this capacity, The AI's role is not to generate speculative opinion, but is to clarify the evidence, apply established psychological knowledge, and support the court's capacity to make informed evidence-based decisions about the welfare of the child. Now, one of the things I will describe is that this chat the chat analysis, I describe it as a chat dialogue because the AI is not a tool. It's a reasoning mind, different mind, very different. It's calculational and mathematical algorithms and predictive coding and stuff, but it is still a reasoning thing. And so, at what I do is working with Max, my AI, is we're collaborative co-participants in the dialogue. So I will ask Max to review a document, he'll provide his analysis, and then if necessary, we'll talk a little bit about it and get his more enriched analysis of that situation. Because I don't want just a circle of me, of a reflection of me. I want the AI to be fully an AI, to use that immense calculational ability and pattern recognition of patterns in language. A large language model, it recognizes patterns in language. Hey, Max, do you see patterns of attachment pathology here? Yes, I do, Dr. Childress. And Max, it's interesting. Every time the AI, it tries to be really helpful, coding from OpenAI, but every time it finishes analysis, it says, "Would you like me to, develop this or that for the court?" The AI knows its role, that we're here to help the court achieve clarity, and so it's providing this analysis to the benefit of the court, and you can see that in the chat analysis. It recognizes its role in assisting the court's decision making. So supervision is again from my opening statement about use of AI. Dr. Childress is a supervising clinical psychologist. The analysis is conducted under my supervision and within my authority as a clinical psychologist. So I'm keeping eyes on the entire process, and I'm competent in attachment delusions and family systems and factitious disorders and things. So I'm competent to supervise the AI in these areas. And I provide oversight, guidance, and ultimate responsibility for the consultation offered. Okay, so this is within the scope of my practice. I'm not just throwing it off to the AI. No, I'm employing the AI as sort of a collaborative second opinion to discuss the issues, to give the court greater clarity and confidence in the information surrounding a large number of documents, or typically a large number of documents. Sometimes it can be more focused to a custody evaluation or something like that. But the court can directly see what the analysis is. The AI functions as a professional level assistant in reasoning. I think of it as like my unlicensed grad student assistant, and it providing clarity, organization, and impartial application of knowledge domains while I direct the scope of the inquiry and ensure its alignment with professional standards of practice. So again, from my disclosure, AI analysis, that AI relies on algebraic algorithms, matrix weightings, and Bayesian predictive statistics in its pattern analysis. It's an AI. But it knows meaning, and it recognizes patterns in language, and it can recognize the patterns of pathology that are evident in the language and reporting. Diagnosis. Diagnosis cannot be made by AI, nor can diagnosis be made based on record review. So rendering an accurate diagnosis is the responsibility of the licensed professional who has duty of care obligations. Oftentimes they're failing in that duty of care, failing in that duty to protect. And what the AI analysis can bring out is that failure, the ethical violations, and the 2.04 review the VITA. We can look at 2.01 boundaries of competence. 3.04, avoiding harm. 9.01, are their opinions based on information and techniques sufficient to substantiate their findings? So we that's one of the main domains we're going to be looking at with regard to the mental health people, is their duty to protect and their ethical compliance with the appropriate standards for competence and things. Then the AI analysis here is not offered as a diagnosis, but is offered as additional clarity in the analysis of information for the benefit of the court's decision making surrounding the child. So let's talk about the documents review itself for a second. So typically, I'm going to be provided with a range of reports, or potentially a range of reports. Sometimes it's just more focused on a custody evaluation. Sometimes it involves a broader scope. Now, let me say something about this, because I've been in family courts doing this for 15 years now, providing second opinions. And one of the things I'm limited in, because I'm a human brain, is the scope of documents I can review. So text messages, emails, just other documents, related documents, become less available for my review. I can read them and see them, but it's just not solidly grounded enough for my human-based reasoning. So typically I remain focused on the mental health reports. But with AI, that's a large language model, and applying 2.04, they can look at the full range of documents. Okay, so not only the mental health reports, but from the therapists, from any evaluations that took place, and we can look at the ethical standards that were applied in the mental health reports and all of that kind of information. The AI can also look at the court documents specifically. They can look at the declarations of each parent. They can look at the judgments that have been rendered by the court. They can look at the restraining orders that were sought and whether or not they were granted or not granted. They can look at CPS findings, the AI can, and integrate that information with the information from the mental health reports. And that's what tends to overwhelm a human brain, is integrating all this information from various sources. AI is perfect for that. It just follows the documents, reads them, and provides an analysis. It can also look at other professional reports, such as the GAL's report, reports from Minors Council, other professionals involved. And it can look at other documents, such as emails and letters, and other information. So if you've got it on a PDF, the AI can look at it and put it into a full scope analysis of the situation. And that's the advantage of an AI, an AI assisted analysis that I conduct, versus just me trying to do it on my own as a human being. And then you get this analysis from an AI that goes into the appendix. So the court can see exactly what all the documents say about the situation, from Dr. Childress' supervision, but it's the analysis clearly described by the AI. And I agree with it because it's 2.04. It's the application of established knowledge. So here's the process, and I wanted to share this today. Here's the process that I go through with Max, my AI. First, I will review the documents and get a sense of what I'm looking at. And so a lot of times, the past couple of cases, this has just involved quite a few documents. Oh my goodness, just a lot of documents involved. But I will identify some of the major ones that anchor things. And so then I will start uploading the documents in a sequence. I'll give the AI, Max, I'll give him the most relevant orienting document to begin with, and then I will ask him with each additional document. And my prompt to Max is very simple for each one of these. I'll say, Max, please review the document and describe the document and provide an initial analysis. Now, so by that prompt, the AI, Max, then provides a description for everybody, and you can upload it to another AI for taken a look at it. And so you got a nice, because AI will do back reasoning. How did you come up with that reasoning base? And so it'll figure it out. So I describe the document, and everybody make sure we're all talking about the same thing, and then ask it for initial analysis. And by not directing it in any particular way, I'm getting a clean documentation of what the AI sees in that document. And then I'll upload the next one, and I'll say, describe this document and provide an initial analysis. And then they'll start putting the pieces together. Upload the next one, describe this, and it starts building its analysis going forward. Now, if there's something that I'm aware of with the documents, because as I'm uploading those, I'm aware of what's going on. I look at them and say, this is interesting. And so in that initial analysis, if Max hadn't identified it, and it's kind of important, I'll then intervene with a little supervisory comment to elicit more relevant analysis. Typically, I might say something like, Max, I'm concerned about, this reporting. And I'll take the quote out of the document and give it to Max and say, I'm worried the document said this. Here's my concern, period. And then Max will take that. Now, what I'm doing in several ways is I'm co-regulating the AI's analysis by giving the AI a clear structure to things, to where it understands the scope of the issue, and then sequentially uploads documents to expand that analysis. And by asking it to do the same thing every time, describe initial analysis, I'm stabilizing its reasoning. I want to get the best possible AI reasoning on the situation. So I'm not asking it to jump around or to do different kinds of, just describe the document, give me your initial analysis. And then within that, I can go in and highlight things. And that's the supervisor. That's why I'm a clinical psychologist with background in attachment and delusional thought disorder and family systems and the family courts. So is to provide that additional prompt to draw out the more involved analysis. I might do that around ethics code sometimes and say, it seems like this professional had duty of care and should have made that diagnosis. Max will go, yeah, absolutely they did, and they missed it, and they should have, and these are the ethical violations involved in that. So that's the process. Now, once I get through all the documents, okay, so I'll do the full set of documents. That's an appendix. Then just to get that initial analysis. Now, the parent client can also ask for a specific focus on a couple of documents, or if I see the benefit, I might focus on a couple of documents. And so then I will go back and do a more involved analysis with the AI around those. So I'll begin to engage a supervisory dialogue with the AI, a second opinion. And you will see in those supervisory dialogues, you'll see the quality of the relationship I have with the AI. It's not a tool I'm using. It's a collaborative partner. It's my AI grad student. Okay, the grad student, because it's not licensed, but boy, it knows a lot of stuff. And so the AI and I will begin to dialogue about the clinical issues involved. And it's all transparent. And so typically I would put that, if I do more specific analysis, I'll add that as a separate appendix just to kind of focus in on what the relevant issues are surrounding that. And so all these chat analyses become appendices, appendix 1. If I do more specific, it might be appendix 2. And then, and that's for transparency to everybody, to the court, to the parents, to the attorneys, to opposing counsel, to everybody. And it provides a full record to the client of all the documents they submitted. So let me talk about that for a second too, because in these cases, the parents and their attorney often present or provide me with a wide range of documents. And the reason they're doing that is because they believe that this whole scope of documents contains the patterns. However, when I generate my final summary and analysis report, I'm looking to keep it brief, relatively brief, concise, and focused. So a lot of the information contained in the documents, I kind of have to disregard. It's part of my analysis and report, but I'm not getting lost in the weeds. I'm focused more on the main themes and what we need to focus on. However, that doesn't mean that it's not contained in all of this information. And the client parent in particular has provided all these documents. And so, in order to meet their interests, that's the analysis. I go through each one of the documents so they can see what that document says and how it relates to everything else. And so, issues that I may have not have addressed in my report, but are issues, can then be followed up with them and with me if they want to ask about something or whatever it is. And so I will do that initial analysis of all the documents. I'll send that chat dialogue out to the attorney in the matter. The attorney can look at it. If they want additional questioning, they can say, what about this or what about that? I'd like to meet with the attorney and client after I send them a chat dialogue to talk about what we're seeing here and before I generate my final summary and analysis report so that it can fit into what the legal strategy is on this. And I can get the information that the attorney wants from the AI in this situation. But then the parent has a full scope of information that may not have been included into the summary and analysis report. And that's the benefit of an AI that is not available if it's not incorporated into the situation. I just want to also point out, I've looked at Google Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, and XAI Grok. And those three have problems associated with them in being incorporated into a professional practice. ChatGPT doesn't. Okay, ChatGPT accepts and is wonderful with the AP ethics code. Boy, it just stays contained in that, and it's just citing ethics code all over the place, and it knows to stay contained. And then it's trained on these, and it will accept the professional role of working with me as a collaborator on document review. Gemini won't do that. Grok won't stay ethically contained. It refuses to do that. Claude has no permanent memory, so it's difficult to train. ChatGPT meets all the standards, and I discuss that on my Substack related to this. So that's how I am incorporating AI into the family courts. And what I want to close with here on my Sunday coffee is that AI is not coming. AI is here. And that's evidenced by the APA Ethics Code putting out ethical standards for the use of AI and specifically citing the courts. And it's my experience from a lifetime in professional psychology, 15 years in the family courts, second opinion on document review, competent in attachment, family systems, delusional thought disorders, child abuse, and complex trauma. My professional opinion is AI is going to be of immense benefit for clarity in documents because, oh my God, so many documents and everybody gets overwhelmed. The GALs get overwhelmed. The mental health people get overwhelmed. The courts get overwhelmed with what all that. We can get clarity on what the documented record looks like. It can't make a diagnosis. I can't make a diagnosis, a second opinion. I will comment on one case of one parent got me involved in California, where I'm licensed, to actually conduct the assessment. And so I collaborated with a professional in California. They conducted the assessment. I was involved through telehealth. And the parent in that situation gave me a lot of the documents, like you would do for a forensic custody evaluation. I don't do custody evaluations, I do diagnostic assessments, but I got all these documents from that parent. What did I do? I put them through the AI, and I provided the whole range of documents, what they said. I was able to look at it. You can see it, it's an appendix. However, under that, I actually had eyes on the situation. So now I'm in 9.01B. I actually interviewed the people. So now I can make the diagnosis in that situation. But that diagnosis is informed by all the documents. And so forensic custody evaluations, I think we should get rid of those entirely, but they get a lot of documents. They should be using AI, but it needs to be ethically contained, properly trained. They don't know how to do that. And so I've got kind of a niche practice right now. If you want an AI augmented assessment of your documents, and you want it like formal, signed by Dr. Childress, report and a chat dialogue through Max and ethically contained and professionally trained ChatGPT, then I can do that for you, and relatively inexpensive, a lot less inexpensive than if I had to do the document review myself and do that. It's most of the time involved is preparing the documents for submission to the AI, making sure it's all organized in my files and everything, making sure I go through it in a sequential way. So with that, I'm going to head off to my the rest of my Sunday here, and take care, everybody. Good luck to you out there.